Hello, Master Numerologist Alvin, continuing my series on exit points. That's the month, day, year, and age that the soul leaves the body. And this is part two of my analysis of the actor Phillip Seymour Hoffman. Phillip Seymour Hoffman was an American actor, producer, and director. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for the biographical film Capote, and he was nominated 3 times for Best Supporting Actor and also received 3 Tony Awards nominations for his work in theater. Phillip Seymour Hoffman made his transition on February the 2nd, 2014, due to a drug overdose. Perhaps it was heroin. The autopsy hasn't come in yet, but the police report feels as though it was heroin contributed to his death. Now, heroin is injected. There's multiple ways you can take heroin, but the way that Phillip Hoffman was using it was through injection. And in order for it to be injected, it must be dissolved in water and heated, or with some type of acid, like lemon juice. And that gives it a liquid consistency so that it can be injected into the body. Now, keep that in mind because it's important because it has a direct relationship to the first subcore of number 2. Phillip Hoffman's first subcore is the number 2 because February is the second month and it's superior to, meaning that there are no sub-elements to modify the personality and the behavior and the characteristics of the number 2. So it's pure. Now, the 2 energy is ruled by the moon, and the moon has a direct association with liquids, like water. The number 2 is fluid, and it yields very easily. The number 2 also deals with the emotional body. Now, you may not be aware that you have more than one body because you're more familiar with what you see. And what you see is the physical body, and so therefore you say, that's it, I'm complete. But you have other subtle bodies, and one of those subtle bodies is an emotional body. And the emotional body deals with the emotions, um, sensitivity, oversensitivity, highly stimulating, understimulating, how you feel. But it's also how do you handle your feelings. Okay? Different people handle their feelings different from other individuals. But the 2 rules the emotional body. And the 2 energy also is associated with groups. Now, Phillip Hoffman was found dead by a good friend of his. And the police, I believe on February the 4th, arrested 4 individuals that they feel might have had some type of connection with the heroin that they found in Phillip's apartment room, in his apartment. So a 4 energy, now I'm not saying they have a direct relationship to it. It's just the police arrested them and they feel as though that they have a connection, but everything has to be proven, right, in a court of law. But nevertheless, the 4 energy is a group energy, and so there was 4 individuals that was associated in perhaps a direct or indirect way to Phillip Hoffman's contributing to the drugs that Phillip Hoffman was using, where he OD'd. Now, what's interesting is that Phillip Hoffman's second subcore is the number 2, another pure vibrational energy. It has no sub-elements to modify it. And so like the first subcore is pure, it has a pure meaning. Now, these two energies is definitely is going to highlight the personality of the individual. The 2 energy is associated with water, but too much water is not a healthy thing. Too emotion is like it rises like a high tide, and it can literally sweep you over. You literally can go into emotional fits because you cannot handle the intensity of this strong feelings, these strong passions, these strong emotions within you. And they take control. And because you have double twos coming, that creates a very high intensity point. So Phillip Hoffman's second subcore, the number 2, like its first subcore, is pure, meaning that there are no sub-elements to modify the behavior and the personality. The second subcore infuse another dose of emotionalism. Like a storm rising, it can overpower an individual with guilt and throw the emotional body off balance. The double twos, when merged, creates a foundational 4. But this foundation is being shaken and is collapsing because of the weight of the volume of the water, of the emotions, of the feelings, of the passion. Something is not balanced. Something is not right. Something has gotten the emotions heightened. And that 4 energy, which is the physical body, which is the foundation, is having a hard time withstanding this onslaught of emotional passion and power. So the double twos merge, creating the foundation of the number 4, and it's being shaken and collapsing with the heavy weight of the emotions. Now, Phillip Hoffman's third subchord is the number 7, and that's the number of faith. That's the number of God. But it's being modified by the first by the sub-elements, and there are 4 of them. He left in 2014. So the first sub-element is the number 1, but when it's combined, now the first sub-element is the number 2, which is adding even more intensity to already intense individual. Okay? But it's a sub-element, meaning that the influence is not as felt as strongly or as readily as those first 2 subchords, but it's adding an additional spark. It's not a fire, but it's adding an additional spark that ignites the first 2 twos, the first 2 subchords, to even a more heightened vibrational energy. So the first sub-element is the number 2, combining with the previous 2, adding additional sensitivity. The third sub-element of the 1 is ruled by fire, but it cannot evaporate the high volume of the water, which is emotion. So the 1 energy is there, but it does not have enough fire to subdue this water. It's just too much water, it's too much passion, too much emotionalism, and the 1 is not strong enough to withstand it. The fourth sub-element is number 4, and this too is trying to keep the foundation together, but it's just not strong enough. Furthermore, when you look at the third and fourth sub-elements, it creates the hidden 5. 1 plus 4 is 5, and in my opinion, this number 5 had a great influence in the life of Phillip Seymour Hoffman. The number 5 is the number of freedom, but it's also ruled by the 5 physical senses. And the senses are like powerful stallions that must be controlled, or they will lead you into a direction of poor choices. They easily are attracted to beauty and taste, and without the strong influence of the one, without the strong influence of the self, the senses becomes trapped in sex, drugs, food, and alcohol. These are strong traps that pulls an individual in and down like quicksand. Now, Phillip Hoffman was born in July, so there's that 7 energy. His third subcore is a 7 on his transition. But when he came into the body, he came in on a 7th level, meaning that he had to learn to grab on to faith. Faith in himself and faith in his creator. But this is what happens. Because he was born on the 23rd. And the 2 and the 3 makes a 5 energy. And then he was born in the year 1967, which also creates an additional 5 energy. Okay? Those 2 5 energies was like wild stallions taking over. And the 7 vibrational energy, which is a quiet energy, which is an inner energy, and because the faith line wasn't near, the faith in the self and the faith in the creator wasn't near, the 5 energy pulled him into addiction early in his life. By the age of 22, 23, he was seeking rehabilitation. He said that he was trying everything. But once again, why were you so attracted? What was it that, you weren't at peace with yourself, and you was looking for outside influences to try to give you something that you felt that was lacking within yourself. And I feel what he was looking for was love. Love from self and love from others. And I'll get into that a little bit later on in the analysis why I said that. But those double 5s had a very strong influence and pull on Phillip in his early life. And he became addicted to drugs before the age of 22. Now, the month of his birth is a 7, and his third subcore from his transition, because he left in 2014, is a 7. Those 2 7s, once again, to come back to another hidden 5 vibrational energy that was also our indicators of what he was really up against. He was riding a wild stallion, in my opinion, based on my analysis of being a numerologist of close to 40 years. Now, let's go back to our sub-elements. The year that he left in, which was 2014. That 7 energy was there, but it was way in the back, wasn't up front. And so I'm sensing that the 7 energy is about faith, but when the faith is lacking in the self, then the self-esteem, see, you can have outer fame, and you can be wealthy and fortunate, but you may not feel self-worth within. It's almost like a dichotomy, a contradiction to one another. You would think the fame and the fortune will give you a sense of self-value and self-worth, but it goes deeper than that. And I believe that um, it was something within that was never addressed. And so, no matter how successful you are in the outer world, if you don't feel that inner peace, if you don't understand where you belong with yourself, then it has no true value for you. It's like a pseudo value. So if the um, if the faith is lacking, then the self-esteem may not be strong, and then it looks for validation. It looks for validation of the self-worth from outside sources. And furthermore, Mr. Hoffman was not really raised with a deep commitment to any denomination. See, you need a seventh level, regardless of, of where you lean, whether it be traditional um, denominations or non-traditional. You need some type of an anchor. You need to understand, that there is a power that's 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 in control. Or else you just got chaos, you know. And if you don't believe in a higher power, then you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then chaos. So that seven energy really wasn't understood, the significance of it. To to rely on the spirit to pull you through whatever demons that you're wrestling with, but just wasn't there. Even though it was there, you still have to latch on to it. You still have to surrender to it. Just because it's there does not mean that an individual is going to latch on to it. Now, when we add our first subchord of number 2 with the second subchord of number 2 to the year of his departure, 2014, we're going to get the compound number of 2018. The first sub-element 2 continues to build a profile of an individual being immersed in a sea of feelings. The third sub-element of the number 1 loses its legs due to the strong currents of water, emotions. And the fourth sub-element of the number 8, having the resources, he had the resources to buy the thing outside of himself to try to fulfill or to compensate what was lacking from within. So the resources was there, trying to stop the storm of emotions by buying and using drugs. But the storm was too powerful, and the faith not strong enough, and the person in the presence of the self, which is the one, was unwilling to stand and succumb to the tsunami. And when you add all of these sub-elements and sub-chords together, um, you're going to come back to an 11 energy, which reduces down to another 2. And those 2 sub-chords, February, the second, now the major chord for 2, those 3 twos is a 6 energy, and the 6 energy is an energy that's searching for love, an energy that's not understanding the role love plays in his life. What's interesting was that he was he was in a relationship with a lady for the past 15 years. And of course, 1 plus 5 is 6. And when she suspected that he was doing drugs again, she asked him to, you know, get his own spot. That definitely, I feel, contributed to the lack of the stability within the emotional body, and could have been something that helped to trigger off. But I think it goes deeper than that. I think that um, the the emotional body wasn't at peace from an earlier age in life because he was attracted to the drugs and the alcohol early in life. So there was a trigger there. But I think when he became separated from his girlfriend and he had like 3 children, that's all six energy. I believe that is played a very strong contributing factor to why he felt the need to try to drown his emotional instability with drugs. So that was the sixth energy. So it created the emotional six. So I suspected all this emotionalism, those 3 tools, the sixth energy was tearing him up emotionally inside, and he was unable to grab unto the anchor of God, which is the seven, and himself, which is the number one. Now he left this body at the age of 46, and there's that sixth subculture, that subchord element there, sub-age core of 6, which confirmed that he was troubled by the instability of the family, the instability, but I feel it goes the instability within himself, triggered by perhaps what happened when he was a young boy, a young person. His inner struggle about love for himself, the girlfriend, and the children, the separation. That first sub element of the 40 is, the physical body just collapsed. And, but his major core was the number one. And, no one would disagree that in his professional life, he was A-list actor. That's what the one means. He was the A-list. He was top dog. He was, you know, one of the greatest actors of his generations. That's what that one is signifying. Now, some side notes right quick. This video is getting longer, but I feel I have to take the time out to try to do it justice. Some interesting side notes about the numbers 5 and 6 and 2 in its relationship to Phillip Hoffman. For example, the police arrested 4 people, and I'm not naming names here, but what I did take a look at was their ages. 2 of the individuals were, at the time of their arrest, was age 22. And once again, for those that's following my analysis, you, even though, see, even though we think things don't have a common denominator, everything is always connected to everything. And so you see those tools right off the bat. And I've already spoke about how I felt those 2 energies was troubling his emotional body. Anyhow, one person was 22, the next person was 22. Then the third and fourth person, they was respectfully 47 and 57. Those 2 sevens make a 5 energy, right? But when you add all the energies together, you get a compound number that brings you back to a number 5 energy. If you do the math, it brings you back to a 5 energy. Okay? Which I thought was very interesting. And then I took a look at another sign that I thought was pretty interesting. And when they found him, they found a needle in his arm. And I thought that was very, very interesting. So I took a look at what arm vibrated to. And arm vibrates to a 5 energy. And I'll show you guys that visually in a moment. And then needle has 4 5s in it. But the first 3 5s connect to a 6 energy because 3 times 5 is 15, 1 times 5 is 6. And I believe the 6th level is the 6 and the 5 was very strong. The 2, 5, and the 6 was very strong culprit that was surrounding his death, which I thought once again was fascinating. And then those 4 5s come back to make that 20, which makes that 2 energy. So, and then the last piece of information I thought was interesting was that a day or two before his death, he withdrew $1,200. So you would say, well, how is that significant? Well, once again, if you've been paying attention to the analysis, the 2 energy is there, but he withdrew $1,200. He 6 transactions. That's the 6 energy coming again at $200 a piece. 2 times 6 is 1,200. So there's that 2 and that 6, emerging again. So a tail is being revealed. And I'm going to cut the analysis off here. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on, but, this is not a full-blown analysis. It's just really just a quick glance. And just quickly, on paper, you can just kind of see what's going on here. You can see the 2 of February, that he left on the 2nd, and there's a 7 energy right there. Okay? And then his core brings us to another 2 energy, which is right there. And then when you pull these 2s together, 2, 4, 6 energy, that's the family energy. Okay? And over here, his age, you can see the 4 and the 6, right in there. The 4 and the 6 energy right there. And, that second sub-element of that 6 energy is also letting me know, what was troubling him. And his core was the 1. But then now down here, this is where I feel the challenges were started. You see, he was born in July, which is the 7th energy. So I'm quite sure that, when you're born in the 7th month, spirit is with you. And he probably had a lot of, psychic impressions, growing up as a young boy. But then you got these double 5s. You see him here? Bam, bam. He was, on the 23rd. The 2 and the 3 makes a 5 energy. And then 1967. But you see, once again, the 6 energy is popping up right there. And then that 7 energy. And then these 2 7 energies creating a 5 energy that's hidden, is also exerting their influence. And then these 2 3s here, this 3 comes from adding to the 2 birth cycles together. You get your first 3 here. And then and then when I add the first and third birth cycles, I get another 3. Those 2 3s make my another 6 pattern. So I feel, and then over here, his destiny was the 8. So, fame and fortune, he was destined for that. But when I look at the numbers vertical, it comes compound 1997. There's a 7, but it's a 2 6 8. There's that 2. There's that 6 energy that's really prevalent, like here and then up here. So I feel that he was internally disturbed by something that happened in his childhood. And it has something to do with the home and the family. The self-esteem, I feel, really wasn't built. The inner self-esteem, the self-worth, the value of the individual. You cannot be measured by your value, what you do on the outside of life. True value is what you're doing on the inside, how you feel about yourself. So I felt that the 1 energy was lacking, and the 6th level wasn't resolved. And all those tools, those 3 tools creating that 6 energy, just created circumstances that was more than he could handle. And like a lot of individuals, They try to handle it through an outside source instead of going within and letting God take care of it or resolve it or give them the strength to see it through. He latches on to the five energy of the drugs. And so many of our celebrities is succumbing from over indulgence in alcohol and drugs. A lot of our celebrities is getting themselves caught up in food, obesity, and anorexia, starving themselves, and sex. Not being able to stay faithful and truthful, to the person that they chose, because um, they're not in control of their sexual energies, and they end up sleeping with this person and that person, all because there's not a good, strong foundation of the one, of the self. So I ain't go on and on and on, but I'm a, I'm a, you know, I'm gonna leave it at this. That um, rest in peace, my brother. We love you. Thank you for the magic that you share. Everybody, just take some time out to look within and know that you are a divine child of God. Peace.